there is a lot of anger on the internet right now. And there's a lot of people who, specifically young men, specifically young white men, who, because of immigration, because of Zionism, because of the Jews, because of the blacks, because of whatever, are becoming radicalized. And they feel like their jobs are being taken. They feel like the system is rigged against them. They feel like there's fraud happening in the government, and they're getting blackpilled, and they're angry, and some of them are unemployed. And they're not making great decisions. And so when someone like myself comes alongside and it's like, hey, I'm filtering everything through scripture. Like I just was on the Tim Pool podcast, the Timcast a couple weeks ago. And I had a fairly sensible take on what's happening in Minneapolis. And I was like, hey, I think like both sides are playing chicken and somebody's going to get hurt. And then the very next day you had another situation where someone senselessly died. Right. And I'm viewing the immigrant and the ICE agent as image bearers of God.
We must.
Right. But some of these guys are like, and so I'm like, I go, hey, I think most people who supported Trump, the ones that won him the election, the folks that flipped, right, went from Biden to Trump, didn't sign up for the abuelas and the folks that have been here for decades to be deported. To be fair, I talked to Pastor Jack Hibbs, who's friendly with Trump, and he said something to the extent of, well, they want this law and order approach, but really the folks without criminal records, they're cutting them loose. They're just not broadcasting that, and the media is not covering that. And so it's all a big, Trump's always playing 4D chess, right, to the Trumpsters. I say all that to say.
Things are too far high for me.
It's over my head.
Yes, all of us.
So I say all that to say that when I had this conversation, a lot of this community was angry at me. This temple, right wing, kind of Christian nationalist, kind of white nationalist, not all the way there, not quite
They're
Nick
flirting,
Fuentes,
but
that degree. We're like, no, we want the abuelas gone. No, we want all the illegals gone because they're taking my landscaping jobs. And I'm like, bro, you don't want to do landscaping. Like, cut it out.
Bro, you're in the basement on a computer.
You're on a computer.
Get out there.
Stop
Get
it,
a job.
And I told him, I said, hey, you need money now. Like, hop on TaskRabbit. It's a great app. You can go and start assembling IKEA furniture, and you're gonna make more than if you did a Joe job doing landscaping. So I'm trying to give people solutions. Right?
I'd rather do landscaping than IKEA furniture, bro.
That's
the thing, man.
Well, I'm saying you could paint, you could learn plumbing, you can learn trades.
Also,
whatever.
to be clear, if you're not out there getting a job and trying to find a wife, I don't want to hear your opinion on the internet about politics. You don't know what it's like to live.
That's fair too.
You keep going.
That's fair too. But here's the thing. Like when I say these things, and I wasn't that harsh, though I agree with you. They're angry. They're mad. You don't know what you're talking about. What do you, right? And so as two people that I believe you guys are awesome husbands, fathers, you guys are successful in your own right, authors, like you guys have done awesome stuff. How do we speak to this generation of broken men that are being radicalized? Like it just is what it is. They're being radicalized. Nick Fuentes, it sounds like the reasonable one in the room. They're following Tucker Carlson, and it's like the same thing that happened on the left where everyone became hyper woke and everything was systemic and this and that. Same thing's happening on the right. Almost verbatim, the same type of language is being used.
Wow.
The system is rigged against me. I'll never get ahead. And I'm just like, whoa. And now it's white dudes. Like now it's right wing authoritarian white dudes, right?
Yeah.
How do we speak into that?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, the phrase "choose this day whom you will serve." Oof. I cannot say enough about men thinking through logically, if you are a spiritual person, spiritually, practically, with wiser men who you want to emulate, of thinking who and how you serve anybody or anything. They're simply what they're doing is they're taking on an ideology, they're taking on a thought process, they're serving a master. And they're serving a narrative. And I think if we back the train up just a little bit, in my experience, we're all serving something, and knowing how to make that choice for a man, like, and Ruslan, you do this beautifully. Like you're constantly thinking. I mean, even this channel, you're doing a great job of processing and thinking through, like, how do I serve Jesus fully in this exile moment, in this moment that we're all living in? And I think if the more men earlier we can do this to help them choose really wisely what they're gonna serve, and what's the outcome. Like, let's run this thought process of the thinking right now. Where does that like take you? Just having men to help you understand that. I think that's a big part of this. And so, I mean, there's more to respond, and I know Justin will have a lot to say, but I just think that phrase is just like right there. You got to choose who you're going to serve. You got to be smart about it.
I love that Brooke is bringing this up because we key a lot of our ministry off Joshua 24:15. Yeah. Joshua is standing with the people and he's saying, are you going to worship the gods of your ancestors? Or are you going to worship the one true God? And I think when you come to any political question about ideologies, you are asking the same question. Are you going to look back at the gods of the American Republic and you're going to pick one and worship them like everybody else is doing? Or are you going to serve the one true God? Which, and people smarter than me have said this, if you are serving the one true God, he's going to have beef with your nation. And he's also going to have a great hope for your nation. If you don't have a deeply incisive prophetic critique for your political party, then you're not following the true God. But if you don't have a great hope for your political party and nation, then you're not serving the one true God. So many people, and this tends to be left-leaning, like have no hope for America. It's like, it's a horrible, broken, it's all evil, like, no hope.
Yeah.
And so many people, and this is a little bit more right-leaning encoded, have no critique of their own leaders. You know, it's like if you can't, like, no one, what's the phrase? Like, no one to the right. Like, it's,
no enemies to my right.
No enemies to the right. Like, you can't bring yourself to critique because you see it as all out warfare.
That's good.
You're serving the gods, the pagan gods. These are ideologies. To serve the one true God means you are actually the best citizen that America can get, because you've got a real critique for the people around you, but you've also got a real hope for your nation. And young men have to understand that. Yeah. But it all is rooted in serve God. You start and end there. Yeah. And so they need to learn theology first. They need role models. They need to learn how to serve God. Otherwise, they're going to be of no use to the American political causes.
Well, models, dude. I mean, most men I meet are honestly, most, not all, but most men I mean have great character. They really do. They just lack models. I was talking to a guy yesterday at a conference we were speaking at, and he came up. He's 40 plus, and he's tears in his eyes. He's like, I want to pass on my faith to my kids. My dad never did. He was a workaholic. I never saw him. I don't have any models. What do I do? And it was such all I said and affirmed to him was like, dude, you are a good man because you're asking this question, and character's not your problem. Well, all it is you just need a model. You need to know what that looks like. So for a guy like that, it's not his heart. It's like, just give some practical ideas, which I gave him in the moment. But that to say, I think for so many young men, the models that you are following are just disastrous to the core. They're rotten at the core. Yeah. And when you kind of learn to start thinking critically about those who you're following before you just jump on the narrative wagon, then, I mean, it just is so destructive. And so I think if we can start to also, to respond to your question, Ruslan, creating healthy models and healthy models, meaning like be really specific. Don't be ethereal about what it looks like to choose this day who you're going to serve. Like, be aware of what media you consume. Start having accountability with friends. Stop looking at pornography. Start thinking through what you're consuming. Start making better choices. But
and just a quick application for anybody, out there. If you don't have an older man that you are in an embodied personal relationship with, go find one. Because you're if you're just listening to other people on the internet, you're just trying to figure out what it means to be a man by either watching YouTube or being in chat rooms or stuff, and you're alone. Yeah, in your parents' house. Yeah. You're not gonna figure out what it means to be a man. You need to go find an older man.
Got to do life on life.
You got to do life. Yeah.
That's good. Okay, how much of the discontentment with young men, even young fathers, do you think is because everything is on the internet now? And so now, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, we didn't see the kid that was 25 and a millionaire stunting on everyone. You just knew your homies, and most of your homies at 25 weren't doing well, right? And so now it's like, okay, yes, there's real systemic, inflation and the housing costs and all that sort of stuff. But generally speaking, you were in your 30s when you bought your first home, right? And okay, so now it's a little later. It's 38, 39. Okay. But generally speaking, like, most people weren't in a great place in their career until they were in their 30s, right? But now everything is in front of us. Everything is in front of everybody. And if you're on social media, you're getting people's highlight reels. And so how much of the discontentment do you guys think might just be that people have so much access to other people on a very superficial level without the reality of like, hey, this isn't how most men live. Like, most men don't really start crushing until they're in their 30s or 40s. Yeah. I think they say your peak income potential is not to like your mid to late 40s or even your 50s, right? 50s, and so it's like, how much of that do you guys think plays into? Because now it's just a comparison game and you're being robbed of your joy, and you think, oh, if I haven't made it by the time I'm 30, I'm a failure. And it's like, No, most people aren't crushing it and doing well in life until they're in their 30s.
Yeah. I do think there's both going on. I
Okay.
think there's some really good stats on how America is leaving behind men.
Okay.
And, you know, what we did in the 70s, 80s of trying to get more women in colleges, open up colleges, educate them,
Mm-hmm.
it worked.
Yep.
And now far more women are going to college than men. They're getting far more educated.
Yep.
They're doing better. And this is like empirical. You can go look at the stats. They're doing better.
Yep.
And smart voices are looking at young men and being like, whoops,
Yeah.
we left them behind.
Mm.
And so young men feel that, like, and worse, they don't feel like they've been allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, that's probably the most infuriating.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's that building up. Like
Yep.
we're actually not serving men well at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to talk about that. We're not serving them well. And then layer on like just the explosive black powder of what you just said. And we get to look at all the other people on the internet who are doing well. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pretend to have an easy solution, but I'll say another version of what I just said. And that is that the solution to almost everything in modern life right now is get less virtual and digital and get more embodied and in friendships.
Yeah.
And men are not going to do well if they're not hanging out with other guys, going out to the world and work, meeting
Yeah,
women,
good.
asking them out, getting married. I mean, some of the best advice I heard recently is from a sociologist, Brad Wilcox, who has the data. Get a job, get married, and have kids in that order, and you will thrive.
Yep.
Like empirically, you will thrive in America.
Yep. Yep.
But a lot of kids are not doing any of those.
Yep.
Yeah.